Hi guys, this is Vijay. So today we are going to talk about the Nexus dashboard physical appliance installation. So I have two sites, DC1 site and DC2 site, and we have three NDO where I'm going to also run that NDI Nexus dashboard inside for the health check and the vulnerability checks. For NDO, there is a two options is available for NDO. Either you connect the NDO directly with the Cisco Leaf switches, or you can connect to the some external, network for NDO deployment, right? So my scenario is I have the NDO which has two interface. One is data interface on the server, and the second interface we have the out of band interface. Third interface we have the CIMC interface. Okay, on all the three appliances we have these three types of interfaces on the NDO. So what is the basic requirement? Let me show that physical appliance which I'm using for the NDO deployment. So this is the physical node which I'm using for the NDO deployment. I have three nodes which going to be act as a master. And the minimum requirement, a recommended requirement for CIMC, make sure that when you purchase a NDO physical appliance, you have the CIMC version and you have the 2.0 plus NDO installed on the hardware. However, the very first thing what I will do here is on the server. So NDO is just like a Epic server. You can see that. So there's going to be the one CIMC port available on the port, and there going to be another out of band interface going to be available on the port. So there's two out of band interface and the one CIMC interface. So they're going to be two fabric port, which we call the data port. Okay, so these data port will be used for the two things. One is for the epic communication. Okay, second is going to use for the inter-cluster communication. Okay, once we form the cluster. So what is the basic requirement? First thing is I already have the CIMC setup for all the two nodes. The first thing is I will have to do two nodes, and third node we will do it later. Make sure that you have the out of band access and CIMC access and the data interface access to all the three node uh, here each other, because they will validate, they will start the bootstrap. So what I will do here is I will configure the CIMC, I will configure the out of band, and I will try to log in the master node. Okay, this one, and then I will try to configure the data interface for this NDO2, NDO3 data interface. We will not configure manually. We will try to push this configuration from here, from the primary NDO itself. So let's do that. So first thing is CIMC interface. So let me log into the CIMC interface. This is the CIMC interface I have for two nodes. Node number one, and then this is the node number two I have. Okay, if I go to the node number one and log into that, so this is the best option, best practices until unless you configure that uh, primary node well and fine. You do not set up the any do not touch that any second or third node of the your NDO. Okay, if I launch the KBM, here you're gonna get that option to configure the out of band management IP address for the NDO. Okay, this is the NDO. NDO is a NDO runs on top of the Docker image. Okay, and the Kubernetes also you can call that. So let me click the saying that yes, first bootstrap configure saying that press the enter for the manual master configuration. So I will say that yes, then I will give that password. Perfect. I will re-enter the password. Then I will give that IP subnet for out of band management address, which I have this one /29. Okay, this I have connected out of band switch, which is connecting to my NDO, and this interface are connecting to my this interface. So this interface can be your out of band CIMC can be 1 gig or 10 gig, and data interface can be 10 gig or 25 gig interface. Okay, so let me configure the IP address. So I said 10.120.116. Perhaps 50/29. Then I will say default gateway 10.120.116.49. This is the gateway done. Then I will say no. I will just save the configuration. So it will take 2 to 3 minutes to bring up the NDO interface. Okay, so you can use this IP address, out of band IP address, and try to do the SSH to this NDO. So what I will do here is I will try to do SSH HTTPS 10.120.116.50, right? It will take, as I said, it will take few minutes uh, to do the initialization. Once initialization is done, it will automatically pop up the NDO interface, right? So once you have this configuration, so second step is make sure that before you touching these nodes, configure these interfaces, data interfaces. So for me, what I have done here is I have the tenant management, MGMT tenant. In the management tenant, I have created the BD, NDO, and inside the BD NDO, I have given the gateway IP address, right? For me, and I have assigned it the all these interfaces into the 2030 VLAN. Just like us creating the access policy, EPGs, bridge domain, all the things. Look here. So now NDO is accessible. Very first one. This is your first interface. So if I go yes, enter it. Look here, what is asking? What is the cluster name? You have to give that this cluster name. What is an NTP? Make sure that your NTP server are reachable here. If NTP servers are not reachable, then you will have the issue for this. And I either you can give the public or private DNS, up to you how you want to do that. Then proxy, I will click on this I tab and skip this configuration. Okay, then I will say next. In the next section, if you see that this NDO is asking that, NDO is showing that this is your serial number. You do not have the node name, IP node name, and you have to configure data interface. Then you have option to add another interfaces, add the other nodes also. So if you'll see that, this is how configuration will be. This is the fabric port, which we call the data port, will be used for the ACI communication as well as will be used for the inter-site communication. So there is a two option you have to follow that. If you are using the NDO just for the multi-site configuration or just for the Nexus dashboard configuration, nothing else, though there is no NDI, there is no other feature, then you do not need to configure the in-band access. When I say the in-band, your epic in-band IP address must be reachable to the NDO data interface IP address. That's the in-band configuration. If you do not have NDI, then you can connect your epic out-of-band IP address, epic out-of-band address to the data interface of the NDO. So there is two things. One is use that in-band communication. In in-band communication, epic in-band address must be able to reach to the NDO IP address. If you do not have NDI kind of concept, then use that epic out-of-band address for the NDO data interface communication. Both way it is both way going to work here. Okay. So before doing anything, what I will do here, I will log into the node number 2. This is the node number 2. Before I will log into the node number 2, I will try to log in the ACI and do that basic configuration for these interfaces, which I have already done that. Let me go through the, okay. So this is my epic I have for the DC1. Okay, for DC2, as of now, NDO3 is not available. So I have just two NDO. So what I will go here, I will go to the Fabric tab. In the Fabric tab, before Fabric tab, let me show that how the interface. Let me log into the putty. Then now, one more thing I wanted to let you know that before anything, suppose if you bring up the box and that physical hardware doesn't have the any kind of NX NDO image, anything like that. So you have option we call that virtual media, and then you activate the virtual media. The moment you activate the virtual media, you will get the multiple option to browse the image. You can just map the CD DVD, and you can, you know, get that your OBA image and iOS from, you can download from the cisco.com OBA image and you can upload it here, iOS image here. Okay, just for the NDO upgrade, anything you want to do it manually very first time. Since this is the physical appliances, you have to follow this step if at all needed. So if I go to the here, my switch where I have connected this CI diagram when we read. attach. Let me log into the Leaf 3. So I have Leaf 3, 4, 5, 6, which is hosting that NDO 2 NDO, NDO node 1, NDO node 2. If I say so, LLDP near. Now if you see that I have this interface, which call that as if now is it is not visual because I have not done the configuration, I believe. This is the API I have. Let me log into the Leaf 5. The configuration is not, LLDP is not showing. The reason is the NDO server is itself is not configured, I believe. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I'm right. So after configuring the setup, LLDP never will be soon will be coming up. So if you see that what I have done the configuration, I have created the VLAN. That VLAN I have associated in the here. This is the static VLAN 2030. Then I have created the physical domain. Physical domain is this one for this NDO setup. I'm using this physical domain and associated my this VLAN to this physical domain. Then I have AAP TDC AAP I have created. Then I have created that interface policy group. In the interface policy group, I have created that one access policy. Do not create any port channel. Do not create any BPC policy for NDO. Okay, just like the APIC, it does not support any port channeling. So if you see that uh, port group, access port group I've created in the port group, what I have done here is I just associated the link label as a 10 gig R2. Then I've created the LLDP mode on. Then I have attached that AEP as this one. That's it. This is the policy group I have created, nothing special. Then in the interface profile, I have called that interface configuration here. Look here, port number 48. If you see that port number 48 is connected to leaf 3, 4, 5, 6 here. Okay. So if I go here, look here, put here for same for the leaf here. And I've called that access policy same for the 5 also, same for the 6 also. Okay. And if I go to the logical, then this interface profile has been called inside the switch profile. And this is the switch profile I have, which is calling the interface profile. Once the access policy is done, what I will do here is I have come to the my tenant. In the management tenant, you can configure anywhere else, but management tenant is good if you want to have the inbound access. Okay, because why? Because all the inbound access IP address will be configuration will be done here for the your APIC. Okay, so if I go to the bridge domain, if you see the bridge domain, I have this NDO bridge domain, and inside the NDO, if I go to the policy, I have this configured. This is the gateway I have configured for the NDO, and VRF I'm using that inbound access, inbound VRF. If it goes to the NDO application profile, I have created one EPG inside that. That EPG is 2032 to 2030. Then if you go to the static port, inside the static port, I have created the trunk port. I have not created any access port, anything. It's recommended to have the trunk. And I have associated all the four interfaces of the switches, leaf 3, 4, 5, 6 as a trunk port. Once it is done, so you will be ready for the next step configuration. Next step configuration means you make sure that you have the reachability. If you try to initiate the bootstrap, it will try to reach from here to here first. Then it will try to push that configuration, all the data interface port configuration, a bootstrap configuration. Then it will establish the communication. Okay. So let me do it. Let me log into the NDO second and configure the out of band address of the NDO second. Okay. So if I go to the CIMC interface of the NDO2, which is this one, okay. Once it is done, I will launch the KVM for this also. You make sure that you have the out of band reachability for everything. Okay. So this is the NDO2. I already have the NDO image inbuilt. Cisco, we purchased this hardware from the Cisco. Cisco has given this image. If you do not have the image, as I said, you can just install from here also. You know, if I say that enter, And I will say enter. I will configure the out of band. Let me configure the password. The minimum requirement for NDO is to have the 3 master node, which is always best option you can have. Then gateway, I will give that 20.116.49. Done. It will take around another 2 to 3 minutes to come back. Okay, once it come back, I can easily able to log in using the IP address of the outer band. Okay, let's wait for a second. It should be coming back. Okay. Once it is done, what I will do here is I will go to the Nexus dashboard node number 1. I will click on the edit. On the edit, I will type here is I will give that NDO node 1, right? And then I will configure the data interface. Data interface, what I will configure is same subnet which I have in a BD. I have to configure it. Otherwise, it will not be able to reach to the gateway or to each other, right here. So 57 is the gateway I have. If I go to the Nexus dashboard 1, look here, it is accessible now. Nexus dashboard 2 also. Do not touch anything in the Nexus dashboard 2. Okay, if you're trying to do anything to Nexus dashboard 2, it will create the issue for you. So I just log into it. That's it. And I will just give that, I will not even configure anything else. If you want to do that, you can do it. It's up to you. What I will do is I will just give the cluster name and NTP, that's it. I will not configure, and even I will, why should I touch here? I will not configure anything else. Let us do the synchronization from the cluster 1 itself. Okay, then I will give the data interface is 58 because 57 is my gateway. 58, then I will give that gateway as a 57. Perfect. Then I will just update. Either if you want to tag the VLAN, you can definitely do that. For my case, I'm not doing that. This is done. So here you can add node number 2, node number 3. If it's the add node number 2, here it will ask that what is the node number 2 CIMC address. Then you have to first check the CIMC configuration, sorry, CIMC reachability validation. You have to do that. Without CIMC reachability, you cannot configure the 3-node cluster. You cannot add that particular node into the cluster. Look here, once say that reachability is there, it is already taking that, the serial number of the node number 2, which is coming from here. Okay, I will not do anything here. Then I will just give that node, this is the node number 2, and I will just give that, this is your IP address for secondary, this is the gateway. This is the this is the IP address of the here. Okay, for data interface, which I'm going to assign, add, done. So if I have another third node, then I can add it. For my case, I do not have third node. So it means I cannot configure the cluster here. If you see the unsupported master cluster is right side grayed out. If you add third node, then only it will do the cluster configuration for you here. Okay. Just give me a second, guys. Let me. All right, guys. So since I do not have third node, I cannot add that and I cannot do the CIMC. Even if I try to do random IP address, it's not possible to do that because I do not have reachability for node number 3. And you cannot start that node number 1. So what I will do here is I will start with the just single node cluster. Okay, to show that how it NDO looks, then I will avoid this cluster configuration. Okay, if you have the 3-node cluster, this is the steps. You do not have to configure data interface on each node here. You just configure on the primary node, and primary node, call that from primary node through the CIMC and the out of band, it will automatically push all the configuration, even including NTP and all the configuration on the second this node 2 and 3. Okay. So what I will do here is I will go to here. I will remove this node. Then I will say run as a standalone server. Then I will say next. It is saying that install the server. I will say just confirm it. Then I will say that configure it. So it will take around 15 to 20 minutes to do that, all the bootstrap configuration on the server. Even though if you have single node or dual node, it will take around 20 to 30 minutes to do all the cluster setup. It's just auto configuration. You do not have to do anything else in order to do the configuration. If you see that, you can take uh, the task here. These all the tasks will take. Okay. And will take 4 minutes, but eventually it will take few more minutes. So bootstrap will take few minutes. Then if you have the cluster configuration will take few more minutes. So I will pause the video. I will resume it once the node is ready for the configuration. All right, guys. So bootstrap configuration is done for the node 1 as a standalone. If you see that this is the first time I log in, either you can do that configuration, or you can just ignore that begin and just remove that configuration. And if I, go to the admin tab and see that user preference and all, you will get that all the details. However, if you go to the admin console, in admin console, this is the overall picture of your setup. If I click on this is the node. If I see the add node, I can try to not add another node, but it won't work. It will add just worker node, which I don't want to use that. I want to use that 3 master, which is possible during the very first time setup. Okay, you cannot have a worker node as another master here. I can add it here, but I don't want to. Okay. So I'm using as a standalone. So if I go to the overview of the site, this is the details you have. Okay, nothing, especially if you have 3 node here, it will come to the 3 master node. And if I go to the sites, you can add the here sites, for example, ACI, cloud, and DCNM. But before this addition, we want to have the services running on that. What service you want to run that? You want to run that insurance services. You want to have the Nexus dashboard, Nexus Insight. So for my case, I will need to have the Nexus dashboard Insight and Nexus orchestrator. So how you install that? You go to the app store. In the app store, you just press that install. During the installation, it will ask for the username, password for the Cisco. Here, if you have, then it will you can deploy it. Otherwise, you cannot deploy that. Okay. Same thing for here. So during the deployment, what it will ask here is it will ask for few things. It will ask for few things. So here, if you're deploying that dashboard, it will ask for the whether you want to what CPU, memory, and the storage you want to give for this one. Whether you want to have the small version of the Nexus dashboard or physical version of it. Same thing for Nexus dashboard Insight. So it takes around 25 gig RAM for minimum 25 gig to RAM for the each of these services. And the moment you will try to install it, it will deploy it. If you have the cluster across the 3 node, you do not have to deploy these services in the 3 different node. Okay. Now, if I go to the infrastructure and cluster configuration here, this is the same thing. So I have not given any different IP address for services and the app subnet. Okay. If you have multi-cluster, you can definitely integrate to it. If you have insights, which I do have, you can integrate here. Okay. But for that, you need to have the internet. You need to have the internet access. And if you see the Kubernetes, how the Kubernetes is working. So this is the Kubernetes ports which are running here. So when you try to deploy that, all the Nexus dashboard and Nexus dashboard Insight, they will deploy inside the pod. And the deployment mode, these are the services, API services. These other services are running. If I go to the namespace, you have this much namespace running by default. So basically, you do not touch anything, any of these things. You just install the cluster. You can just uh, install the services. So for my case, I already have purchased that Nexus Dashboard Insight and Nexus Orchestrator. You will see that this services automatically is downloading for me. So it's in the installation. So once it is coming to here, I will try to show that how to install the services. So let's wait for a few minutes. It will come back. And meanwhile, if I go to the here, tenant, EPG, domain name is this one, static port is this one. This is looking fine to me. Okay, if I go to here, it is taking time. Let's wait for 1 to 2 minutes more. Then after this one, it will go for the again, Nexus dashboard and all these things. Let me resume the recording once it's complete that pending task. Okay, so this is the Nexus dashboard inside has been installed. If I say the enable, in the enable section, if you see that physical deployment, how much RAM it's gonna take, how much CPU is gonna take, memory gonna take. If you want to have the virtual, how much resources it's gonna take. So for me, it's for virtual instances, I can enable that. But for me, I have the 3 nodes. So I don't want to enable anything here for now. So I will just remove that. So yeah, this is how you set up the Nexus dashboard in the production environment. However, in the next session, I will be showing that all the cluster setup once I have all the 3 nodes, and I will also show that how to configure the multi-site and Nexus dashboard inside in a live production environment. Thanks for watching. See you in the next session.